All right, everyone, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive, and today we're going somewhere pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the future.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Like, can we predict it? And I don't mean like, horoscopes or anything like that.
No.
We're talking about some serious theories about AI that can actually see what's coming next.
Like actual real world events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So buckle up because we're about to get into some pretty wild stuff.
I am buckled.
So the big question is there some kind of top secret government program out there using AI to, like forecast global events?
It sounds like science fiction, but
Yeah, it does.
so we're here to find out, right?
Right, exactly. So we're going to try to unpack, all of this. Does this AI actually exist? What has it supposedly predicted? And then the big one, like, what does it all mean?
The implications.
Yeah, the implications, exactly.
Big questions.
And to help us navigate all of this, we have our expert in all things AI. I mean, this guy lives and breathes algorithms.
Well, I do spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff. I have to admit, it's a fascinating field.
It really is. So,
Yeah.
I guess let's just dive right in. And for those of us who aren't, coding geniuses, can you give us like a crash course in predictive AI?
Sure. So at its core, predictive AI is about using data to make educated guesses about the future.
Guesses.
Well, educated guesses.
Educated.
More than guesses, really. It's about using algorithms. These are like sets of rules, basically, that learn from huge amounts of data to spot patterns and connections that we humans might miss.
So, like, how does it actually, like, learn?
Well, so imagine you're teaching a dog a new trick, right?
Okay.
You give it treats when it does something right.
Yeah, positive reinforcement.
Exactly. With AI, it's kind of similar, but instead of treats, you feed it data, tons and tons of data. And over time, the algorithm learns to recognize certain signals and then uses those signals to make predictions.
Okay, so no crystal balls or anything like that.
No magic here.
Got it.
Just data and math.
But what makes this rumored government AI, like, different from the AI that's recommending me, like, cat videos on YouTube?
Well, it's all about the scale and the scope we're talking about. Think about it. An AI that can analyze everything. Social media trends, financial markets, even things like seismic activity or political instability all at once.
Okay, wait, so this AI is reading my tweets?
Potentially. Yes.
Interesting.
But it's also looking at stock prices and earthquakes and who knows what else. And the theory is that this AI can connect all of these seemingly random data points to, see the bigger picture and anticipate major events before they happen.
So it's like it's seeing the Matrix.
In a way, yeah.
That's a little unsettling,
It can be.
but also kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, the potential is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the sources we dug into actually list a few specific events that this AI supposedly predicted, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So first up, we have the 2008 financial crash.
The big one.
Yeah, so how could AI have possibly seen that coming?
Well, the theory is that this AI, which, by the way, is rumored to have a couple of cool code names like Sentinel or Project Prometheus.
I like Sentinel.
It has a nice ring to it.
It does.
Anyway, the theory is that this AI was able to pick up on these very subtle signals in financial data things that humans would have probably missed. Things like unusual trading patterns, spikes in credit defaults, even changes in sentiment on social media, like were people suddenly feeling more anxious about the economy?
So, like, it was reading the collective mood.
Kind of, yeah. It was looking at all these tiny data points that on their own might not mean much, but when you put them all together, they painted a picture of an impending financial crisis.
Okay, but if this AI was waving red flags, why didn't anyone do anything?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, the sources we have are pretty vague on the details. Maybe the prediction wasn't clear enough, or maybe it was dismissed, or maybe even ignored. We just don't know.
It's a lot of unknowns.
A lot of unknowns.
Okay, let's move on to another event that's mentioned a lot in these theories, the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The sources suggest that some kind of AI system actually flagged unusual activity before the attacks, but again, no one took any action.
It's hard to say for sure without more information, but the speculation here is that the AI was looking at things like communication patterns, travel records, financial transactions, basically anything that might have seemed out of the ordinary.
So, like, were there any specific red flags that the AI picked up on?
It's hard to say for sure, but maybe there were anomalies in flight bookings or unusual spikes in chatter on certain websites or forums, or maybe there were patterns in financial transactions that look suspicious. Again, it's all speculation, but the idea is that the AI might have noticed things that humans simply didn't.
Okay, so that's two pretty major events that this AI supposedly predicted? What about something more recent? What about the COVID-19 pandemic?
Now, that's an interesting one because it does seem more plausible that AI could have predicted a pandemic.
Yeah, I was.
Well, think about all the data that was out there: global travel patterns, public health reports, even search engine queries about flu-like symptoms. All of this data could have provided early warning signs that something was brewing.
So this AI was like a digital disease detective.
In a way, yeah, it was looking for clues in the data and connecting the dots.
Okay, so let's say for a moment that this AI, this Sentinel, or Project Prometheus, actually exists. Who's controlling it, and what are they doing with this information?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's one that we might never have a definitive answer to.
Yeah, it's all very hush-hush.
Very hush-hush. But it does raise some important questions, like, are these predictions being used to prevent disasters? Or are they being used for something else, something more nefarious?
Like, what are they using it to control us?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility, right? If you have the ability to predict the future, you also have the ability to manipulate it to steer events in a certain direction.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is a bit Orwellian, isn't
It
it?
is so, like, where do we even begin to address these ethical concerns?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. We need to be having these conversations about the potential risks of AI, even if we don't have all the answers yet.
And it's not just about global events, right?
Right.
The sources we looked at also mentioned that AI could be used to predict individual behavior. And this is where it gets really personal.
Yeah, this is where it starts to feel a little creepy.
A little more than a little.
I mean, think about it. All of your online activity, your purchase history, your social media interactions, all of this data could be used to build an incredibly detailed profile of you.
So they know what I had for breakfast.
Potentially, yes. But more importantly, they could use this data to predict your future actions with a frightening degree of accuracy.
So like Minority Report stuff.
Kind of, yeah. It's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more than unsettling. It feels like a violation.
It does raise serious questions about privacy and free will. If an AI can predict what you're going to do before you even do it, does that mean you don't really have a choice anymore?
And what about the potential for discrimination?
Oh, absolutely. If AI is making predictions about people's behavior based on their past actions or their online profiles, there's a real risk of bias and discrimination being baked into these systems.
So this is getting pretty heavy.
It is, yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from the basics of predictive AI to shadowy government programs and some pretty mind-bending ethical dilemmas. I guess the question is, what do we do with all of this information?
Well, I think the most important thing is to keep asking questions, to stay informed and engaged, to not just blindly accept what we're being told.
So like, be skeptical.
Be skeptical, be critical, but also be open to the possibilities. AI is a powerful tool, and it has the potential to do a lot of good in the world, but we need to be mindful of the risks as well.
Right, so it's not about being afraid of AI.
No, not at all. It's about understanding it and using it responsibly.
So what's like the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I'd say the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create through our choices, our actions, our engagement with the world, including the technologies we create. So let's make sure we're creating a future that we can all be proud of.
Well said. And on that note, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. If AI could predict your future with a high degree of accuracy, would you want to know?
Would you?
That's a tough one. I think I might be too scared to know.
I can understand that.
But it's definitely something to think about as we move forward in this world of ever-evolving technology.
Absolutely. Food for thought.
Food for thought indeed. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of predictive AI. And we'll catch you next time for another exploration into the unknown.
Until next time.
Stay curious.
Always.